Recently, I had the opportunity to speak at a conference with Dr. Ben Carson, a possible presidential candidate, and I had the chance to learn more about him and his views. Dr. Carson was the leading pediatric neurosurgeon in the world. He was not just able to perform brain surgery, but was gifted with the skills that earned him international acclaim. He's a powerful and knowledgeable speaker who clearly articulates a strong pro-marriage and sexual ethics stance that I believe is aligned with the principles of our founders. Recently, Hannity interviewed Dr. Carson, and as a result, Dr. Carson received a lot of criticism for his pro-family values. During the interview, he stated,
And, I simply have decided I'm not going to really talk about that issue anymore.
Referring to homosexual rights. Many pro-marriage advocates are criticizing his statement, but I am not one of them. Many of these fault-finders may feel that I'm abandoning traditional marriage, but in truth and in fact, gay rights simply do not exist. Therefore, it is logical not to discuss something that does not exist. Before I begin this exposition, I'm going to use the proper term homosexual for what the mainstream media calls gay. Again, I want to clearly state there are no such things as homosexual rights. Now that I have your full attention, let's begin. First of all, what is a right? Where do rights come from? At what point does one receive rights? How are rights protected? And what law is used to protect homosexual acts? First, what is a right? Noah Webster defines it as a just claim, immunity, privilege. All men have the right to secure enjoyment of life, personal safety, liberty, and property. It can also be understood as authority or legal power. The Constitution asserts rights cannot be deprived or disparaged without conviction of a crime or just compensation, and only the individual has the authority to relinquish these rights. Our second question, where do these rights come from? God created man in His own image, and we are endowed by our Creator, God, with certain unalienable rights. Third, at what point does one receive rights? The Declaration of Independence postulates all men are created equal, endowed with these certain inalienable rights, which means our rights are innate and universal. How our rights are protected is answered very succinctly. Law. Just a couple of examples. God gave us the right to life and protected that right with His law, thou shalt not murder. He gave us the right to property and protected it by saying, thou shalt not steal. Now the law is only words without force to back it up. So just who did God ordain to enforce that law? In His design, He distributed this authority. For the individual, it is each of us. For the family, it is the father and mother. For the church, it is the elders. And for collective society, it is the civil government. In the Bible, Romans 13 states, the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Government is God's minister to you for good. And the Declaration of Independence confirms that by saying that to secure these God-given rights, governments are instituted among men. So just what law is used to protect homosexuality? None. There is no right to homosexuality in English common law, which is the basis for our legal system. Amendment 7 of the U.S. Bill of Rights. So if there is no law protecting homosexual acts, then there is no God-given right to commit these acts. So you see, there is no such thing as a homosexual right. On the other hand, if homosexual rights can be invented by society, then the force of law will inevitably be used to protect this imagined right. The force of law would then be used against the law and against our God-given rights. Isn't that what this is really about? This is Jake MacAulay with the Institute on the Constitution, bringing you the American View.